a massive amount of public money has gone missing over the 9 years that you've been in government and cabinet. Did you in any way, at any time, engage either with the then president or the then deputy president Ramaphosa, now President Cyril Ramaphosa, and say to them, listen, this is money I desperately need for medicines training, posts, clinics and hospitals?
But I didn't have to. Everybody knew that when you steal money, you are stealing money for health, for education, for social development. It's a known thing. The question is, was there an ability or a capacity to stop it? You don't need a minister of health to go and say money must not be stolen in Transnet, in Eskom, etc. It's something that was making us feel bad, and that's why
who is
the most available
this?
Opportunity.
Yes.
That's why you find a lot of investigations now going on. You find the state capture inquiry is a huge one. And so you can't just say the whole government, everybody there was involved in the state capture, because there are people who did not want it.
But that's not what I'm saying, Minister. I'm asking a different question. I'm saying to you, did you at any point say, you're saying you didn't need to highlight the opportunity costs and the consequences of the fiscus losing so much money. Was that obvious to everybody in cabinet?
Yes, it was obvious. It should be obvious to every South African.
Where was the political will to deal with it?
Well, it was just difficult. It's not that there was no political will. It's difficult because of the power relations of that particular time. And I'm sure you are aware that when changes took place in Nasrec, immediately you started seeing a new spirit of dealing with these things. So I'm not sure whether you are proposing that maybe somehow as a minister in the cabinet I could have had some power to stop it. I'm not sure whether you are suggesting that. I don't know whether you mean that or you say one should have complained publicly or what. I'm not sure where you are headed to with your question. But I am saying whenever money gets stolen, it's painful. Yes. You wake up, you are even afraid to over weekend to buy Sunday papers because they were all saying so and so stole this and that money disappeared. It's a painful thing which we did not want. But the power relations of that time were such that it was difficult. I personally went many times to report to the investigative agencies, the Hawks, the SIU. Some of the investigations were still waiting for them. For instance, long before the changes in Nasrec, the Hawks were investigating the stealing of equipment from various hospitals in the Department of Health, and we have reported it. And just 2 weeks ago, I was asking the Hawks,
what has been done?
How far is it? And they said, no, we have long finished the investigation. We have handed it over to NPA, waiting for prosecutions. And you know, we cannot interfere with prosecutorial powers in the country. They are independent. So it's not that some of these things were not done.
So, Minister, I want to explain to you why I'm engaging with you on this, because you now have to deal with two, I would suggest, and there are probably more consequences of that period as you set about creating a completely new and important dispensation for the health system in South Africa. Here's the first one. We have very militant and often quite destructive actions by workers in the health sector. And I'm wondering if they're not taking their lead from this, saying the people at the top are going to steal money. We are going to do what we need to do to get our fair share of the health budget. Would you agree that the militance of unions in your sector is directly related to the high levels of corruption in the state in general and in the health department in particular?
Are you justifying the chasing of patients out of ward because somebody stole money? I won't agree with you on that. I won't. If it's militants, why don't you, if you believe somebody has stolen money, is a politician, why don't you go and thrash his house and destroy there and do a sit-in in the house of a politician than going to the innocent patients who actually are being punished twice. Firstly, they are being punished by money having disappeared. Yes. Now you are punishing them by your anger as a health worker to come and block them from getting services. So I won't agree with you.
Do you understand their anger?
Yes, of course, I understand the anger. All I'm saying is I don't agree with you to justify it. In fact, the Human Rights Commission is calling an indaba, and I think a date has already been made in the next 2 weeks or so to discuss this issue of disadvantaging patients whenever there is labor action. because I don't think we should allow it in this country. Because remember, even during the height of the struggle in 1976, whenever a person wearing white things appear, in fact, they used to defend them. So is society going in the Rwanda? They used to defend nurses and doctors going to hospitals, even during the highest anger. The anger during apartheid was more than the anger that we'll see now.
So let me suggest to you then, Minister, the second way in which this long period of the tolerance of abuse of public money might be affecting your vision and your goals for what you want to achieve in the future. And let me give you two things from the Auditor General's report. Of the top 10 biggest contributors to regular expenditure, 4 are provincial departments of health: KZN, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, and Free State. This is what they said about the Free State. The leadership's involvement in the decision that led to transgressions resulted in their inability to hold staff accountable, and as a result, adequate consequence management processes were not implemented. Would you accept that a perception of a rot at the top has cascaded down, where officials at higher and middle levels are now saying, hey, everybody's doing it, I'm going to do the same, there are no consequences?
Of course, I agree with you that people will think like that if they see somebody at the top still in there. So that report is talking about the top management and political leadership in the Free State. And I'm saying ordinary people may get angry, but I am saying we can't justify it.
Yes.
Because they should be fighting and say, this is my country. I can't allow it to be looted, and participate in stopping that looting rather than saying, I'm going to join it and I'm also going to destroy. Because that doesn't make you a better person.